What's happening, folks? We are back for a different Dies Irae from a different Requiem Mass, this time by Giuseppe Verdi, a composer I think I've reacted to a couple times. I think I reacted to his Il Foreste Destino Overture, as well as more recently the Anvil Chorus from his Il Trovatore. In any case, we're going to listen to his version of the Dies Irae from Requiem Mass. And when I say that this one takes the intensity and fire and sense of righteous danger to another level beyond Mozart's, I am not underselling the point. Now, again, it is up to the discretion of the listener which version is preferable. And as I mentioned, at least for me personally, I think Mozart's is a bit more artful, but this one has more power, it has more thunder, it has more fire. And speaking of thunder, I actually have a few different versions of this. There were a couple compilations back in the 90s, here in the US at least, maybe they were internationally released, but they were called Classical Thunder 1 and 2, and they featured pieces, both choral and symphonic, with a lot of fire, a lot of intensity. And on the first disc, or was it the second one? Might be the second one. Either way, one of the Classical Thunder CDs has this part of Verdi's Requiem Mass as performed by the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and conducted by Robert Shaw. But the most impactful version I have in my collection is a snippet taken from a fuller recording by the London Symphony Orchestra, the London Symphony Choir, conducted by Leonard Bernstein, and one of the voices, I don't think on this particular part, but in the Mass overall, is Placido Domingo of Three Tenors fame, and I think this recording goes back to the 1970s, maybe even 1970s specifically, but yes, get ready for some thunderous choral fire, and when I say that this must be one of the greatest pieces to ever play if you're a timpanist, I am not underselling that point either. So let's hear it. This is the Dies Irae from Giuseppe Verdi's Requiem Mass. And the only drawback of this particular excerpt is, unlike a couple other versions I have where it fades out or draws to a close more naturally, this one just sort of cuts off. It's like, I think it was taken, again, from a larger track on the record, and, you know, in the digital era, like, they just cut it up so that, again, it sort of ends a bit abruptly. So prepare yourself for that. But here we go. Giuseppe Verdi's version of Dies Irae. as I said, it just cuts off abruptly, whereas a couple other versions I have, it like fades that part, or they recorded it specifically, so it was like a selection from the mass. But this, I think, is taken from the full mass, so they just, for the CD release, like cut it. In any case, yes, incredibly fiery and powerful. I do think the particular performance in this case benefits from two things. It's faster than I've heard it played in a couple other renderings, and the sonic quality of the timpani, it just hits harder, and I think that really makes a difference, at least for me. So yes, I have it. In fact, I have a 2-disc compilation that's Dies Irae, like that's the name of the compilation, and again it features like fiery choral pieces, but the version on that double disc release is quite slow, to the point where like it loses a bit of that intensity. And I was actually thinking just now, like, number one, this was hardcore music before that concept had come to be, and secondarily, can you imagine in an era when there weren't recorded performances that would be released on home media that you could listen to again and again, when you basically had to go to see live music? Can you imagine hearing this and going home and just like, oh my god, like that experience, which would surely raise the hairs on your neck, as they say, it's not something you would forget easily, and you would want the ability to experience that exhilaration again. So in a way, we are very lucky and privileged that we live in an era where music can be recorded, widely disseminated, and re-listened to again and again and appreciated, which of course is the essence of my channel. So in any case, let me know which version you like better, or if you're like me where you like them both for what they do differently, and maybe if you're feeling a bit more fired up, you might want to listen to Verdi's version. If you're feeling a bit more heavy, but also like pensive and thoughtful, maybe you do the Mozart version. Either way, I think they're both great, but in this moment right now, I'll take Verdi's version. So let me know what you think, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.